So we have the esteemed colleague. What is it, Theta? Man, Theta just keeps giving us grief. So it's not just you. Stream keys invalid.
Not such a tech tard.
It's weird. Theta just keeps doing this. They just don't have their thing together. So sorry, Thetans. I'll send them a little message. I'll say, hey. Anyway, Jerry, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I'll tell you, I spent a lot of time studying this. I don't even really know how to phrase it. A 401. Okay. So if you're a self-employed independent contractor, there is a provision in the law that you can do a self-directed 401k that can roll over into a self-directed Roth IRA. That's a very interesting proposition in that, depending upon who your Roth IRA provider is, you can get a tremendous amount of crypto exposure in some of these Roth IRAs nowadays. And that's a really, really compelling proposition, especially since the limits are so much higher than the traditional Roth IRAs where you're kind of capped at $6,000 or $7,000 if you're a couple type of deal.
Interesting. There's all sorts of ways to weave in people that have their foundation built in the legacy system, but want to get exposure to the digital asset system space opportunity. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what kind of cool stuff Jerry's been up to. We're going to talk about Ethereum reaching all-time highs, being in that price discovery. Really, it's been in price discovery for about 3 weeks. We're going to talk about, the Doge got bit. But the Doge is probably here to stay. It's not going away anytime soon. And we'll talk a little bit about the idea of, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? Those sometimes are together and sometimes they're at loggerheads. We're going to talk about NEXO melting up. We're going to talk about crypto being only for the rich. What? That's not what I signed up for. Oh, it's what we all signed up for. Let's see. Let me say hello, even though on Theta, I don't think anybody on Theta can even see this, unfortunately, but Scorpion, Video Tuber, Biotech Breakout, Baykeeper, The Real J. Cole, Gordon Bennett, Beartail, CC Brown. Sorry, the feed is not working. I'm getting a red thingy. So whenever we get a red thingy, that's that. We got Brady. We got Joe Fernandez, ¿Qué onda? We got Jimmy James, Bobby, Antonio, what up? Scorpion, P. Kelly, Scott Hill, Wolverine Maniac, made $11K off of SHIB overnight. Nice. Risky as hell, but nice. I love it when anybody wins. I especially love it when it's a meme of a meme. It's a meme once reduced. Emmanuel, what's going on? So we have both Scott and Scott Hill. What are they both Scott H's? This is outrageous. 2 Scott H's. Patsy Green, Biotech Breakout over here as well. Tiffany, JJ, Michael Murphy, Cross the Pond, Bernard, Hoop and Tony, Bitcorn Candy, Professor XRP, Simon Powell. Oh, nice one. Tube That Pipeline, what's going on? BZ, what up, BZ? Demayan, Crypto Fanatico. And I think we got everyone, Crypto CB, let's see, Sylvia, Lawrence, Leon, Dubai Money. Okay. Whew. I think we nailed it. Theta keys. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on with Theta. So Theta is, they're working through some stuff. Remember, they pushed off their mainnet update, upgrade thing. That's coming. Who knows when, but supposedly in June. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff and more, and we'll talk to you about some of the trades that we made or are going to make. Crypto tweet. Bonjour. And we'll see you guys in just a minute after we get back from this non-commercial commercial break. So we're back. Please. It's too much. It's really too much. That's more like it. That's what Jerry and I are used to.
Crickets.
So let's see. Why don't we do this? Why don't we, before we get into price, before we get into Vortex, before we get into anything, let's get into, how was your weekend, Jerry? Did you do anything interesting token-wise?
I did. So one of the things, I talk about this all the time. I've used a strategy of leveraging my assets. In other words, collateralizing them, taking loans to buy more assets, putting those assets back on the platform and building a portfolio and keeping a debt to income ratio around 20%. Well, over the last, year and a half, that is exceeded. I got a pretty high loan amount. The portfolio's grown and all that's really wonderful. And so one of the things I did, because I had such an appreciation in the actual NEXO token, I've been able to offload a big chunk of that NEXO token equal to the amount of loan that I have, converted it into USDC and put that back on NEXO. Now, the loan that I hold and the amount of USDC I have is equal. I still have NEXO token. And what that did is that freed up all of my actual crypto to generate interest. And it's a remarkable difference when you're collateralizing USDC relative to, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP or one of the other assets that's on the platform. And I happened to catch it at a good time.
NEXO's done pretty GD good.
Yes, sir. And it seems to be catching on in that, sentiment, whatever you want to call it. I just noticed on Twitter, Tom Brady is a NEXO client.
What?
Yeah, Tom Brady changed his profile pic, put on the laser eyes, and then NEXO followed it up with a tweet that they were proud to have Tom Brady as a NEXO client.
The laser eye thing is over.
It apparently isn't over for Mr. Tom Brady.
You know what? If it's not over for Tom Brady, then I guess it's not over. Who am I to declare that it's dead, even though it was meant to be going into April? And okay, you know what? Doesn't matter. A meme is not a meme if it doesn't die. NEXO, when you first got into the NEXO token, you were one of the first people that was kind of like, I'm going in, You bought the token to get yourself up to the platinum status. So for those of you that don't know how it works, if you own NEXO token and you're a NEXO client, the more tokens that you own proportionate to your account. I think it's if you get above 10%, you're a platinum member. And what that does is it gives you two things. One, it gives you a higher return interest rate on the assets that you hold on NEXO. Two, it gives you a lower borrow interest rate on whatever you do if you collateralize loans against your crypto. So it helps you in both ways. And this creates a lot of desire for this token. And I've been noticing this trend, and you tell me if you notice this too, Jerry. Do you notice that when the market starts expanding, things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, that kind of quality, let's call it quality collateral, because now it's quality collateral. Some would say way more quality than like treasuries, but this crypto quality collateral, which I think really it's just Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. But as those go up, people race to purchase more NEXO so that they can stay in that high tier interest rate. And then in doing so, NEXO goes up. And so it's this constant push. But my guess is kind of the exact opposite would happen if there was a meltdown, meaning, but for different reasons, because the highest quality collateral on NEXO is NEXO token. So my guess is if there was some unsightly...
Wait, say that one more time.
I think the highest quality collateral on NEXO is NEXO because of what it gets you. Because I think if there was some bad event, some black swan, something gross and ugly and cascading liquidations, I think people in the same way that a hedge fund would sell gold to cover losses on the other side of their book, I think people would sell NEXO to cover losses on the other side of their NEXO book.
There's an element of that I think in theory is absolutely correct. Now let's talk about execution. Nexo is a very illiquid coin. Name me more than one exchange on the planet that trades Nexo, a platform, not a DEX.
Didn't you have some experience experiencing this illiquidity?
Yes, I did. And that's okay. And it's totally all right. I'm not a big DEX user. And the reason being is I've kind of I'm that whole paying gas fees to use friggin' DEXs that are based off of Ethereum defeat the whole purpose for me of trying to understand the price that I'm truly paying or the appreciation that I can truly realize. Because then you got you got to factor in all those joules and all that gas fee and all that stuff. And unless you're doing really big numbers in advantageous periods of time during the day or cycle or whatever, it gets really expensive to do it. But yes, I moved a butt ton of Nexo to Huobi Global, came up against the whole deal. I had to convert all the USDT into XLM. All the XLM then just went right back to Nexo, super easy, and then converted back into the USDT. And thank goodness, because my loyalty level, I get X amount of free things per month. And so it didn't really cost me much, but it's not a fast thing. It's not an easy thing. Like if you're on Nexo, you can only use Nexo to pay the interest on your loan. You cannot use it to pay down the actual loan itself. And that may be by design.
Let me ask you, so two questions. One is a direct question about Nexo, and I'll get to that. I'll get to Jeffrey's question in a second. But first, gut thoughts. Do you like KuCoin? Me, I do like it.
Yeah, I got no issues with KuCoin. I've used them several times for several things.
I think they're solid. I like what they've done. To me, KuCoin seems like a better BitTrue. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. Just a better BitTrue. A little bit more put together.
We're all looking for a better BitTrue.
We all want a better BitTrue. Okay. So yeah, I like it a lot. I'm experimenting with some of the other functionality, not the margin leverage, but I am experimenting with some of the lending pools and things like that. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But Jeffrey had a question. I think this might be up your alley. Jerry, does BSC, Binance Smart Chain, work for Nexo? Gas fees are sub $1 using DEX. Okay, I haven't
done it. I'll be honest. I have not tried it.
I don't
know.
It's an Ethereum asset. No, it's a ERC20.
The actual Nexo token is an ERC20, but from what I understand, isn't the whole purpose of Binance Chain to be able to suck in that whole ERC20 environment into a cheaper, faster ecosystem? I don't deal with Binance Global in a big way. I mean, I'm in Costa Rica. I can. It's not like I'd be illegally doing it or anything like that. But I just haven't. I don't know how much of it is my prejudice or bias.
Manuel said you cannot use BSC on Nexo. He tried.
Well, Emmanuel is a smart dude, so I would trust what he says there.
Yeah. Okay. So moving right along, did you do anything trade-wise other than bouncing your Nexo around? And that's only because you experienced such a huge move up in Nexo that you had way more than the 10% you needed, right? Is it something like that?
Well, let's put it this way. My portfolio's largest, I've never had this liquid net worth before in my life, number one. So my portfolio is the largest it's ever been. And my Nexo token valuation was such that my portfolio could double 2.5 times from where I was and still be 10% of the size of my portfolio.
Right. You were overweight Nexo.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not overweight to where I believe my portfolio will be in 2 years.
Right.
If Nexo stopped growing, you know what I mean? But everything is relative, right? We're all searching for the strategies that will A, have the least amount of tax impact on us, and B, the most return on investment impact, right? And so my thinking is park the cash. If the market does what I think it's going to do, and it might not, but if it does what I think it's going to do, then I will just wipe out my loan, right? Completely wipe out my loan, which will bring my portfolio value down, but my yield generation will be astronomical relative, because, you know, right now I have to discount my cost to carry on the loan before I can actually understand what I'm realizing in yield, if that makes any sense.
It does. Okay, let's talk Vortex scores really quick. We're not going to get into the deep of it, but we will just say you can see what we can see. Telcoin. So the big winner over the weekend, the highest Vortex score I've ever seen was Matic. It had a 98. That was yesterday, and Saturday and Sunday. So I decided to get into a Matic position. So that's one thing I did this weekend. That was, matter of fact, here, I got all my stuff that I did this weekend. I took a position in Matic, not a big giant one, a 1% position, right? Because it's not a protocol layer, but it is it's kind of a 1.5 layer, right? It's a scaling solution. It helps the Ethereum network grow. And this is going to get into a question, kind of a philosophical question for Jerry and I. And that is would you rather be right or would you rather be rich? And it appeals, it's an appealing question, or kind of a philosophical question you have to ask yourself when you look at Ethereum, because we all know there are all sorts of things that are not good with Ethereum, but price action is not one of them. New money is not one of them. And overall expansion of the asset's not one of them. And there's a bunch of reasons why. And many of the reasons that I think people are buying Ethereum are fundamentally flawed, but it doesn't matter at a certain point because it's embedded, it's here, it's big. Anyway, Matic is part of providing scaling solutions for Ethereum, opportunistic rollups. We can get into that at a later point, probably not today. But anyway, if we are to assume that Ethereum is here to stay, at least for a while, then I think Matic has a bright future. Any thoughts on that, Jerry? Just kind of just the overall Ethereum picture and where Matic fits in?
Well, I absolutely 100% agree that I believe any play on Matic is a play on Ethereum. So if you're not bullish on Ethereum, Matic may not be, may not be your cup of tea. I'm interested in anything that's built on Ethereum that has the potential to reach a billion people, right? So if something's built on Matic that creates that cross-chain interoperability through all those various ERC20, ER36s, the 800 different offshoots of what you can build on Ethereum, then there's a chance, because the truth of the matter is people really users want a good user interface, smooth operation. They don't care about the guts underneath it. You know what I mean? And isn't that what we're all looking for, is what is going to garner a billion users and really take off as far as adoption? That's what I'm looking for. I'm hoping that it'll come along.
Yeah. And for those of you that are curious about Telcoin specifically, I know this is a little bit off topic, but kind of on topic. Tel is available in a few exchanges, but one that I know of and use is KuCoin, like we just talked about. And it's pretty easy to get. Just remember, the one thing is when you're on KuCoin, if you deposit money, a lot of people are like, I can't spend it. You have to move it from your deposit account to your trading account. If you want to stake assets, you have to move it from whatever account over into the pool. And then from there, you can like stake and do all this kind of stuff. So just remember that there are these different accounts inside your KuCoin account, and you must move assets into the appropriate, space, right? Whether it's whatever, you get it. Okay. So yes, I took a position in Matic. I traded the highs on Cardano. I'll talk about that in a second. And we traded, and I added a little bit to Tel. Tel was one that we did last week. For those of you that got into it, we done real good. And we keep doing real good. And I know this is not a reason to buy something, but I think it is a valuable asset in what they're trying to do. Kind of short range remittances between cell phones, because all of basically all of the third world functions off cell phones. No one's getting on their computer or their laptop, not for the most part. On the aggregate, everybody does everything on their phone. And if you can ease the friction in sending money back and forth between phones, then I think you're onto something. And so I think TEL is a good buy, regardless of its Vortex score. I've built a little position and I'm still adding. Me personally, I'm going to keep adding up to about 10 cents. And I think that's where I kind of like back off. For me, TEL is probably where I scrape some of my profit from VeChain and redirect it into what I think is a more fundamental platform. I still think VeChain is, and while VeChain's done us all real well, it's kind of smoke and mirrors. I don't know if they'll ever actually meaningfully launch anything that changes anything, but we've done real well off of it. So I would probably, me personally, reroute some of my gains from VeChain. That's just one guy talking. What are your thoughts on, do you have any idea about TEL or just any thoughts on it?
Oh, I think it's an interesting coin. I'll be honest. This is my strategy as of the last month. It'll continue to be my strategy until this particular time and space happens. And that is this. As long as Bitcoin is underperforming the rest of my portfolio, I'm buying Bitcoin. So that's the deal. All new money is buying Bitcoin. Could be flawed. That could be a really flawed thinking. But my thinking is that Bitcoin is spooling up. It's coiling. It's amassing energy at these price levels and is going to take a jump. And when it takes a jump, I'm not saying it's going to jump to 60 or 61. I think it's going to have something like a 3 or 4 day just explosion and blow through into the 70s. That bodes very well for me because it's not just me. The world considers Bitcoin the most pristine of all the digital assets. Therefore, it's the easiest to borrow against. It's the most sought after collateral in the digital asset space. There's a lot of reasons. So I'm amassing Bitcoin. And until Bitcoin outperforms the rest of the coins that I like, I will only buy Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin starts outperforming all those other coins, then I go back to those coins. See, I'm not a green candle chasing guy. I want to. I mean, there's a part of me. Man.
Real quick.
Get me in there. Put me in, coach.
If you guys like Jerry, this has nothing to do with me. If you like Jerry, please hit the like button. So don't worry. You're not liking Nick. You're only liking Jerry right now. But hit the like button because, man, why not? I mean, you don't hate Jerry, do you? Anyway, okay, cool. By the way, this is not a monetized channel. It doesn't do anything other than kind of spread the word. Yes, Joe, we know the theta, the stream keys are being weird.
I hit the like twice.
I think the second time you like it unlikes it. Uh-oh.
That's my little Bluetooth speaker for music. I'm sorry.
That was Jerry's pacemaker. Okay, so let's continue through it. The only things that I saw that were very interesting, this keeps coming up. iExec, RLC token, over and over and over. You see it on every list. It's starting to creep up price-wise. It's just rocketing. I mean, it just continues to go up and up and up and up. And you say, well, what is this token? They've been around for a while. Well, don't read too much of their documentation because it's not the best grammar, which is always one thing that you should be curious about is when the grammar in their documents is not super great. But you got to like the price action. It just keeps going up. But we don't buy things just because of the price. So I was digging into it a little bit. And basically the RLC token is used to create liquidity. And it is an interesting project. I'm not comfortable with the price action. I'm not going to buy it, but I am going to watch it because anything that continues to move like this over and over and over, it's definitely why it's worth looking at. And yes, I understand that the grammar might not be good because it's French, but guess what? The French have good grammar. I know because I done live there. I'm a French resident. They speak of the good English too, right? So, Safe Moon, man. See, that's why I have to time you. I have to put you in timeout. Anytime someone says Safe Moon, I realize that they're here just to create whimsy and panic. The Safe Moon cannot be trusted. Anyway, iExec I am going to be looking at it. It's a liquidity provider. And so basically, and that's not the only thing they do, but they create these liquidity pools for a variety of DeFi functions. There's other things they do, but from the paperwork that I read this morning, that's about all I got out of it was you buy the token, you can stake the token, you can do liquidity mining with the token, yada, yada. Cool. Everything in DeFi goes up. You guys know that. Everything in DeFi goes up. Nervos Network up 50%. Telcoin up 34%. I'll take it. Stellar having a stellar day. This is, in my opinion, I didn't see any news about Stellar that was all that exciting. This is all part of that dislocation quant trade. And just an easy way to think about it is, imagine all of these assets are on a spider web. You know, you have Bitcoin in the middle and Ethereum right outside of it. Or just imagine, forget the spider web analogy. Think of them as orbiting planets. And they're all in relatively the same distance from each other. And they get a little wobbly at times. You know, in some months, maybe Mars is a little further than the sun. And some months is a little closer. But on the aggregate, the planets are in these orbits and they stay in those orbits. When the market moves and some of the planets get left behind, a lot of quant trading comes in, and this is mostly bot trading and algorithmic trading. It comes in and goes, whoa, 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 look at those spreads. The price is dislocated from reality. So if you cancel out all the other noise and all the news, what you're left with is these three assets are rocketing, and the other assets that normally are in price ratio with these top assets, they've been left behind. You want an example of it? Litecoin. Doing nothing, going straight up. You want another example? Cardano. Nothing changed between Thursday night and today, except the price is up 33%. So a lot of times these quant trading bots will come in and say it's time to buy, and they'll buy, period. And so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of dislocation trade. And so I think that's a theme that's going to come more and more. So just be okay with, there's not always news that points to a reason. And if you're looking for a specific reason for the movement in these assets, you're going to usually be uncomfortable with the lack of news, lack of reasoning. And sometimes things just move because they haven't moved. And so you'll see that especially in the higher assets. That dislocation trade doesn't go all the way through all 9,000 assets because, you know, a lot of these assets are rated based on their utility and their adoption, new wallets, old wallets, cold wallets, things like this. So again, when you take all the news and scrape it out and all you're left with is the ratios, when an asset gets too far away from where it normally tracks, sometimes they'll go in and buy up that cheap asset. And that's what you're seeing. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Any thoughts on the old dislocation trade, Jerry?
Well, I think, you know, as autonomous economic actors continue to, you know, influence these markets, which they will, you know, sometimes you guys just throw your hands up. Eli, here's a tip for you. Learn how to use coinmarketcap.com. At the bottom of, if you hit a coin, at the bottom, as well as having all kinds of great data, it'll tell you every single exchange that coin is trading on. And it's a great tool to get used to using as you hear about coins. You can go research them, see where they're trading, see what the volumes in action is, that type of stuff. It'll do you a load of service in the future.
Let me ask you this, Jerry. Is there anything on this list that excites you? Telcoin, Thorchain, Voyager, Origin Trail, Flamingo, iExec, RL. I mean, any of these assets in your radar?
No, but I don't have a big radar. Remember, I'm not Nick Black. I have a very conservative type of thing. I've got a stable of assets. My philosophy is only buy an asset unless if I can earn yield on it while it does what it's supposed to do. I do have one. Mm-hmm. I have an asset on my radar that nobody talks about. It's not on this list. I don't know when it'll become on this list.
What?
And yes. It is called World Mobile Token. And it's going to be released on the Cardano blockchain. World Mobile Token. And it's a decentralized telecom play.
So how would one buy such token?
Well, one would sign up on the list, right? Through the website. Here, I'll send a link to the thing to you. How do you do this?
You can go private chat and then I'll put, oh, okay.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
And I can post it for
copy. Let's do this to the private, to the thing, to the ping, to the bing, to the bang.
Ooh, snap. Okay, I'm going to get that.
Yeah, and it's one of these deals where you can buy it with Cardano or ETH or DAI or whatever, and then you create your deal, and it'll be a wallet within your Daedalus wallet, or any of your Cardano wallets. Some people use YOLO and Atomic, etc. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing in that they're starting in this emerging market, Africa, right? And this decentralized telecommunications play, as you were just saying, people in grass huts with no running water are using smartphones on the internet, and they're using apps to do all of their stuff. It's like they've completely leapfrogged the whole wired deal, wired Ethernet and all that stuff. They use Wi-Fi, they use their cell phone or data through a cell provider. Really interesting play.
So, okay, cool. Now, when do you imagine probably be some mid late August before that token specifically is available?
I'll be honest, I don't have a timeline, and they didn't state it in any of their papers. But
well, anyway, worth looking at.
I know it's being built on Cardano, and I know it's a telecom play, and I know that there's a waiting list, and they're going to notify everybody on the list when they're doing what they're going to do.
I like the space. Okay. Interesting article that I found. I'm gonna cruise over to it because Bitcoin was for all of us. I think the reality needs to probably set in for many of us that perhaps there's a shift that needs to happen in people's thought process. One is that you can buy fractions. You can buy fractions. If there was anything I would tell a newbie, they say, tell me about Bitcoin. First of all, you can buy fractions. You can buy 10 cents, right? Don't be scared of the decimal. They're saying that Bitcoin, in terms of Bitcoin, there's a chance that, and of course, everything, there's a chance, but there is a rational chance that 0.1 Bitcoin could be generational wealth. I don't know what that means, but we talked about what wealth would be last week. We all came up with numbers between, anywhere between $5 and $50 million of purchasing power. It's not just dollar units, because you can hyperinflate currencies. We've seen it throughout time, but purchasing power. And so this idea that the whole world is going to go to Bitcoin and use a Bitcoin standard, I think that's a little bit farcical. But I can see a world where Bitcoin is in everyone's balance sheet the same way gold used to be, right? And with the same amount of trust. And whether it's a corporate balance sheet or your personal balance sheet. So, but right now, the story has been, at least at the banking level, we know that last week, because of a few clicks on some government paper, banks can now custody at least Bitcoin and probably Ethereum, but for sure Bitcoin. And custody's coming to a theater and a bank near you, probably sooner than later. These banks, I'm guessing, are panicking, and they're worried. I mean, when was the last time you went into a bank? I haven't been into a bank in a long time. Closest I got was using an ATM, and I felt icky doing that. I like to do everything on my phone, just like beep 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 beep. So. But anyway, here was an interesting story. UBS. USB is the thing you put in your, UBS exploring Bitcoin offerings for wealthy clients. But of course, only the wealthy should have exposure to crypto because it was built for them. UBS joins a growing list of banking giants exploring crypto offerings for the rich. Bloomberg report suggests UBS may offer its wealthier clients exposure. Bill Gates actually said Bitcoin is not for the common person. He said that. Do you think he meant that because the common man doesn't have the mental, the cognitive dexterity to understand the complex, the proposition of Bitcoin? Or is he saying that regular people are too dumb? Is this just, an elite being snotty? Like, what's up with this kind of idea that only the rich? Before I even dig into this, Jerry, what's your opinion? Is Bitcoin for the rich, or has it become perverted for the rich?
Well, I think the banks are trying to walk a line, right? Walk a balance between getting into this space, which is it's so desperately needed by them because with low interest rate environments, the ability for banks to earn their money diminishes, right? So how do they make their money? Well, they have to then charge fees, right? Or have new services to offer. Well, they want this, but there's also all this, but nothing is settled yet. We have no clear guidance from places like the SEC, places like FinCEN, although the OCC has done some stuff and, several of the 8 or 9 different regulators have chimed in. There's no unified front yet. So I think banks are going to be kind of conservative, and wealthy folks, because they're wealthy, are presumed to have a higher financial IQ. And I will tell you, I believe that's true. As a whole, as a general statement.
I agree. There's a little bit of knowledge higher up in the wealth ranks. And an assumption that people that save and people that invest have more experience saving and investing than those that don't. I get it. And it's silly to think that we're not all equal. And I don't completely, I hate to agree with Bill Gates, but I don't completely disagree. I don't know if people realize a lot of times mostly what they're buying, especially right now in this chase for growth over fundamentals. I don't think most people know, well, listen, look at the whole Dogecoin thing. And even though I believe that Dogecoin is probably here to stay to an extent, it's not going anywhere. It's found its footing. But 99% of the people that bought it don't know what they own. You're like, what's the market cap? I don't know. What's it do? No clue. Why do you own it? Because it's going up. And that's the chase for growth. And it's not just here. It's in the greater equities markets. And this kind of froth is usually right before some kind of going off of a cliff event, a Thelma and Louise. Now, an interesting thing Garth brought up before I read this article. Garth said, it took me a while to understand Satoshi's fractions of a share, right? So not fractions, but for what he's talking about is that every Bitcoin can be broken down into 100 million tiny little pieces. And those little pieces are called Satoshis. Think of that as the tiniest fraction or the Planck length in terms of Bitcoin, right? A Satoshi is 1/100 millionth. And so when you look at the market cap, they say there's only 21 million Bitcoin. It's not completely the full story. There's actually 2.1 quadrillion Satoshi. And if the price of Bitcoin continues to go up and to the right, which I imagine it will if it tracks monetary expansion, I don't know that we won't be just talking about Satoshis 5 years from now, because it'll be a unit that makes more sense to people. So, but I do agree. His second statement, it's very poignant. Market cap doesn't matter in such a new market. I would contend that market cap doesn't matter in an unformed market. This is a slowly forming, expanding asset class. It's brand new, and we don't know what it's going to look like when it is fully formed or somewhat saturated. We don't know how much of the legacy system is going to come over, or if the entire system goes marginally digital and we're looking at a digital asset space that's in the quadrillions. But market cap doesn't matter. The old arguments for market cap do not matter, in my opinion, at all, period. Jerry, I see your quizzical look.
Well, I don't want to part and parcel these particular points, but I think everything is relative. And so when you are just trying to understand growth rate of something, market cap does matter as an analytic, right? It may not be a fundamental, But as an analytic, it absolutely does matter. If I can track in real time the expansion of a network, I need an analytic. I need a metric for that, right? Name me a metric that is easier to obtain than market cap to track the expansion or growth of a network. I don't have one.
I think you do the total float, the available float times the smallest unit of the asset. I think that's
do that 10 times at home, kids, and tell me, is it easier just to look at the market cap or do what Nick just said?
Well, because the market cap's not, but the market cap, as you know, Jerry, is not really a true predictor of the available tokens.
But I'm talking about the expansion of the network.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, imagine a scenario where all except one Bitcoin, all except one Satoshi have been cold stored, where there's one Satoshi left. And there's just a couple of people trading that one Satoshi back and forth. Every time it's sold, every time it swaps hands, that times 2.1 quadrillion other Satoshis is the market cap. But that's disingenuous. But it's the market cap versus price. I think the available float is a number that's probably more realistic as far as establishing what you think a value is on a token. Anyway, that's just my personal feeling. I always look at the float. A good example is like Cardano. Okay, yes, there's 30 something billion Cardanos floating around, ADA floating around, but not really, because a lot of those are locked up in staking. But then again, not really, because those that are locked up, there's no thawing period. So you could unearth your tokens from staking and immediately sell them. There's a lot of people, I got diamond hands. Yeah, wait. If the price goes to $8, a lot of those diamond hands are going to be paper as hell, and good for them, right? That's life-changing money. So, as the price increases, it will unearth staked assets, except in terms of these platforms where your assets are locked up and there's no getting them out, like Ethereum. If you locked up your Ethereum in the 2.0 contract, you better hope and pray that they get S done, because if your tokens are there and there is no getting those tokens back out. What they would have to do is fork the token and credit people and let you burn your stake. I mean, it would be goddamn nightmare. But anyway, so
I'm experiencing that, by the way, with AGI.
Oh, that's right. They're locked in for a month.
Oh my God. You know how hard it is and how expensive it is to move in and out of those damn things.
I was getting charged. God. I was going to park some tokens there this morning, some extra AGI, because right now, for those of you that are staking AGI, you have a week where you can put new tokens in or restake your current stake. If you're restaking, there's no fee. If you're adding to the stake, I got a fee of $250 in ETH. Guess what I'm not doing? I'm not doing nothing. I'm not adding more tokens. I'm not going to pay $200. I'm not going to light $250 on fire. I'm not putting 200 million AGI into my staking thing. Right, so I looked down like, Jesus, it would take me 3 months of staking to repay the gas fees on staking. No thanks.
And by that time, you're going to want them turned into AGI ADA, working in your Daedalus wallet anyway. So what's the point?
Exactly. So I
wanted to I checked the unrenew box, right? Right. Check it. No auto renewal for Jerry. Boom. The MetaMask wallet pops up. Jerry, if you want to do that, it's going to cost you $72. What? I'm like, what?
Oh, you got a discount.
So I said, okay, screw it. Okay, if it costs me $72 to unstake my stuff, get it off. Because remember, I had the whole MetaMask wallet weirdness thing. And so I'm just, this is that compromised wallet. I'm just trying, the AGI is the last thing. So I want to get it off. I want to get it over somewhere else. Okay, great. I say, screw it. I'll do it. Boom, I spend the $72, right? Which means I got to move ETH over into this compromised wallet, do the thing, try to get out. Guess what? Jerry, thank you for paying the money. And you are now going to be able to, in 6 days, get your AGI off this thing. I'm like, I got to wait 6 days in a compromised wallet to get my friggin' coins off this thing.
What a kick in
Oh
the
my.
dick.
I just feel like that's why I like keeping it simple, man. Nexo, Daedalus, Coinbase. If I could live my life on those 3 platforms and never have to do anything else, I'd be happy. But because I'm a risk taker, I'm out there buying Telcoin. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Hey, listen, man, I bought that thing at a buck. No, a buck at 1 penny 7, 1 penny 6. Dude, I'm already at anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter. Let me address this because I'm going to make 2 assumptions right here. One, whenever we get macro people in the group, by the way, it is good. It is important because too often we dive down into the crypto and people and just in general as crypto investors, as digital asset investors, we're not looking up at the macro space. Crypto was its own thing, but macro influences are important. And so if you're not paying attention to the macro story, you're missing it. I'm going to guess that Big Jig, A, has an understanding of macro. 2, that he came from Emil and Jeff's show. I say that because they gave us a shout out on their last episode. And I think some people came over from there, which is great because for those of us here, I can't recommend any better show other than Making Sense with Emil Kalinowski and Jeff Snyder. I guess the second best would be Jerry's, second best. But
I'm nowhere near that. That is a whole different category. Those dudes are dudes that understand the stuff. You and I, Nick, well, you know a lot more than I do, but the point is we're going through it in real time, and it's not until you look backwards and go, I have learned a couple of things, but you look forward and you go, God, I have so much more to learn. Jeff Schneider's on a whole nother friggin' level.
Him and Emil they're on a different level, and it's not even fair to compare. Mm-mm. But if we did, okay. So he says, I tend to agree with the idea that market cap is not a valuable tool. Should price of BTC track monetary expansion, but by the way, I think that loosely Bitcoin will track monetary expansion. That's kind of my base case. Anyway, but if monetary policy loses effectiveness, well, I would say it already has lost effectiveness, and I would even say that it's never been effective. Go look at Japan, but that's just me, asterisk. But if policy loses effectiveness because of dollar devaluation, wouldn't they just ban BTC and all these other coins? Well, no. In the same way that they tried the idea with gold of pegging, of pivoting off gold, and then you do this, and we make gold illegal but A, it didn't work. B, the euro dollar system started outside the United States. There's a variety of reasons why monetary policy has not worked, has never worked, and likely won't work. But I think the best way that Jeff Snyder explains it is it's pageantry, right? A beauty pageant, it's not the prettiest girl that's chosen. It's who we all talk up as the prettiest girl that's chosen, right? For a variety of reasons. It's not a vote. It's not a democracy. So where this applies to Bitcoin, it's probably too late to ban it because how do you ban something? It's like banning the sun. We're banning you, sun. And sun's like, okay, well, I'll see you in the morning and all day, right? So there's certain things you just can't ban because they've escaped. They're also building these pretty well-formed futures and derivatives markets around Bitcoin. So they may go after stable coins. They may go after privacy coins, but Bitcoin itself has reached apogee. I think it's out of the clutches. Now, again, you find some governments here or there that are like down with Bitcoin, but it doesn't matter. It's like banning, again, you can't ban what you can't ban. And I think that probably Bitcoin sits as a store of value, savings account, gold 2.0 type asset. I don't think that Bitcoin is ever going to be the world's currency. I don't even think it'll be the world's reserve currency. I think it'll be a store of value asset that people put a little bit of money into, whatever their money is, whatever their currency units are, because they know that it preserves purchasing power to an extent, but more so that it is insurance against bad behavior. Bitcoin is insurance against bad government and central banking behavior. And That's the way I look at it. If you were to distill Bitcoin, A, Jerry, do you think it can be banned at this point? And B, what do you describe Bitcoin as in one sentence? It's this.
Store value. And I don't know if that's because I've been conditioned to say that. You know what I mean? It just seems to be kind of the narrative. And I find it to be true. When I look at Bitcoin, and if you measure it against, dollars, and that's how we all do, you see Bitcoin going rising, right? But look at Bitcoin to the most popular real estate on the planet. Look at Bitcoin relative to Picasso's. Look at Bitcoin. I mean, it's a rare, scarce property that a lot of people want. Well, that's no different than a block in Manhattan, right? Or a nice house in Maui. You know what I mean? It's those things are all going up exponentially too. Exponentially. I don't even know how to say that word, but you know what I mean.
We'll try exponentially. That's another way to pronounce it.
Say it again.
Exponentially.
Exponentially.
No, exponentially.
Exponentially. It's like saying I actually expounded upon myself.
It's like a dental procedure. So this is a good point Hoop and Tony brought up. He said, and it's all part of this greater idea of, I think you're looking at it through the wrong lens. Hoop and Tony says, what do you say about going 50% out of crypto at the end of the bull run? A, when's the end of the bull run? Only one person picks the end ever. Only one person picks the top. Only one person picks the bottom. Everybody else is in the middle, and we're all guessing. I've never picked the top. I've never picked the bottom, so I'm still guessing. B, I don't think there's an end to a bull run. I don't think this is a bull run. I think these are the network effects of an expanding market, and this is a rather logarithmic expansion. This is a balloon expanding until we've reached some level of kind of homogeneous market saturation where enough of the legacy financial system is utilizing digital assets, distributed ledger technology to reduce frictions. I don't know when that happens. It could be 2 years, 5 years, but my guess is we're nowhere close. Now, does that mean everything's going to always go up? Obviously not. There's going to be all sorts of sell-offs. You're going to vomit. You're going to puke. I'm down 20%, 30%, 60, doesn't matter. The market's not formed yet. We're not tapped into business cycles. We're not, Bitcoin doesn't care about quarterly reports yet. It's not held on every corporate balance sheet. It's not in every pension fund. It's not in every bank's, as a hedge asset. When we get there, then we have a discussion about bull runs and bear markets and all that. What do you think, Jerry?
It's so hard to try to. It's comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion. No more business cycles. Business cycles gone. Why? Because price discovery is gone. If you have a constant low interest rate environment, then how does the wheat get separated from the shaft? Right? It's just crazy. I don't understand it. So I can't think in those terms. It's not apples and oranges. I think we're in a new paradigm where networks are growing and expanding and dematerializing some things, dismediating other things, and we're going to just continue to innovate, bringing sellers closer to buyers with no middlemen and less friction, creating more value for both sides of the equation in almost everything that we already currently see and do. How long that'll take, I don't know.
Gartas, is it fair to say flow was adopted as in use and has been adopted? I would say it's being used, but not for its purpose. People aren't buying flow to buy NBA Top Shots. People aren't buying flow for the most part to buy NFTs. People are buying flow as an investment. People are buying NFTs for whatever reason they're buying NFTs. Some as collectors, some as an investment. Those two things. For instance, I own flow and I own NBA Top Shots. And I've never made a cross transaction. I've never sold a Top Shot for flow. I'm selling it in dollar currency units on my Dapper account. I've never traded flow for NBA Top Shot moments. They're separate in my mind. And until that chasm is crossed, I would say no. use, utility, and adoption individually, but certainly not linked. And I would say adoption, no, in my opinion. What has? Bitcoin. And I would say Ethereum. It is what it is. There are a lot of problems with Ethereum, but you know what? It doesn't matter because right now they're really the only show in town other than Binance Smart Chain, and we don't trust sleazy CZ, as we all know. So, and if you do, good on you, but good luck. Okay, let me get through this article because I think it's a good article, and then I want to get Jerry's thoughts on it. And for this fine Monday morning, UBS exploring crypto offerings. UBS, the Swiss banking giant with 3.5 trillion in assets under management, is planning to offer crypto products to its rich clients, says Bloomberg. The report indicates that the firm is looking into alternative ways to offer exposure to digital assets. An unnamed source, right? Dude that works there said that any crypto investment would represent a small allocation of portfolio to hedge against, and this is the key, to hedge against price volatility, and that may include third-party investment vehicles. So think about that. They're saying, hey, would you like to get into crypto as a hedge against price volatility? Meaning, is it a hedge against greater market volatility? That's not exactly what they're saying, but they're not saying that, isn't it? And are these vehicles that they're going to create a hedge against the volatility in the crypto space? That's more likely what they're saying. Though full details yet to be confirmed, UBS wouldn't be the first institutional player in the financial sector to look into crypto this year. Goldman Sachs began trading Bitcoin futures and non-deliverable forwards. In March, the Wall Street firm revealed that it was planning to offer a range of Bitcoin products for affluent clients alongside Goldman. Morgan Stanley, BNY Mellon had pulled similar moves. All for the rich, richity, rich. Of course. You know what? We need them. The global cryptocurrency market cap is worth over 2.5 trillion today, with Bitcoin accounting for 42% of that figure. To date, Bitcoin has been the first crypto asset most banks are interested in. That could soon change now that Ethereum is trading above 4,000. Well, I don't think that's why it changes. It's not changing because Ethereum is trading over 4,000. Ethereum is trading over 4,000 because that's changed. What do you think, Jerry? I mean, as far as Bitcoin being for the rich, we've talked about that. But this idea that banks are getting into, really custody, but also these weird quasi ownership products. What do you think about that?
I think I'm a big fan, big fan. And the reason being is we want adoption. Well, adoption will only occur through access, right? Through access. The more people that have access, the more can come onto the network, creating more adoption. Well, how many people have you talked to that aren't crypto savvy, which I believe there are a lot more of them than there are of us inside the space, who go, I looked into doing something and it just was kind of foreign to me and I don't understand it. Well, when you can log on to your online banking and transact in the crypto space, just like you can in your money market account, your stock market brokerage account, any of those type of things, I think we're going to see more, people come on and put their money on these networks. And right now it seems like the offerings are kind of limited to, 5 at the most, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, sometimes Bitcoin Cash, sometimes Litecoin, etc.
So it's just very interesting. And I bring up this other article to a couple of people say they're having a little bit of withdrawal trouble on Binance. It's a snafu and you are Safu. I wouldn't really worry about Binance right now. I would worry about BSC projects, but I don't think Binance is going to get you, Antonio. You should be fine. This is just more, and I'm not going to read this article, but you get it. Citibank is considering launching crypto trading and custody services. This is the greater story, and I think that's what we start the week out with. Is this is happening? So the whole question of, is Bitcoin going to make it? Yes. No one knows to what extent, but Bitcoin is here to stay. I would say that Ethereum is starting to jump on the list of tokens that have made it and are here to stay. But that's it. And with the caveat that that's it for now. I think many of these protocol layers are going to cement a position in the future of Web 3.0. I don't know which ones, but if I were to venture a guess, it would be Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, Near, and based on how easy they can access designers, developers, users, and investors, then that will kind of give us an idea of how quickly they can reach their tendrils out into the market and start to erode at that Ethereum market share. But I can tell you this, that's right, Ethereum gas prices are insane. And it only gets worse as this price goes up. So in the investment community, everybody's like, yeah, Ethereum is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. No, it's not. Ethereum is not the silver to anything. Ethereum is only comparable to other smart contract platforms. And right now, that's reduced us to comparing it to BSC. And guess what? Would you rather pay $250 in fees or $2.50 in fees? BSC is better. Look at the price performance. BSC, Binance, the Binance token, the BNB token has far outperformed Ethereum. Like not even close. So yes, Ethereum is doing great. It's over 4,000. Woo woo, we're happy. But your average institutional dumb money, and what I mean by that is the institutional player that has a big book and they're looking to allocate some resources into crypto, they are not in the weeds like we are. They don't understand the story. They don't understand scaling. They don't give a shit. They need to put some money in a less risky environment that may have this huge asymmetric upside. So you look at Bitcoin, and the next thing you hear from your buddy Novo or Rao or any of these guys that are embedded is buy Ethereum. Why? Because they own Ethereum and because there's not really a good second choice. And if I have a choice between buying Binance, Smart Chain, their BNB token, or buying Ethereum, I still buy Ethereum. Why? Because I don't fucking trust Binance, because they get rug pulled every 35 seconds and they're sketchy, and CZ is sketchy, and Vitalik may be lazy, but he's not sketchy. And so I go back to you're kind of betting on the jockey a little bit. And I like the ecosystem, and 99% of the world right now uses Ethereum. I don't think, and even if that goes down to 20%, there's still a huge, bright future for the token. So the token is a great investment, regardless of everything else. But it's not the silver to Bitcoin's gold. It's right now the gold in the protocol layer space. Everything else is trying to erode margin, but it's not comparable to Bitcoin. You own them both for different reasons. That is my final thought. Jerry, final thoughts.
Tune in tomorrow where Nick will have a new topic to rant about. It'll be wonderful. I can guarantee you I'll be tuning in.
That's not a final thought.
Oh, final thought. This, take some of this as entertainment and take the rest to ponder upon. Remember, it's impressed upon you and your responsibility to do your own research and come up with your own conclusions, because after all, it's your money. But if you want, if you want to dabble this thing with the Vortex scores that Nix puts out, I think it's proving there's some validity in the methodology, right? If you want to trade, if you want to invest, stick with the proven winners. Those first couple of tokens on the board. The lowest risk is obviously Bitcoin. You want to take more risk? Shoot out the risk curve, but understand that's what you're doing. You're going farther out the risk curve. Accept the risk, and then let's have fun.
And then my final thing, I did say I was going to tell you about it, my trade in Cardano. So I took some ADA, I pushed it out to an exchange, and I dusted off a little bit at what I thought was the top, around $1.80. But do not worry, I have not bailed. I bought it back at $1.7 at 172.6, 1 point, whatever. Anyway, I ended up making some tokens in the process. So the point was to mine more Cardano from Cardano volatility, not to exit Cardano. So there you go. I'm out. I'm in. We will see you soon. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything. My poor insolvent drunk, strung out on meth, smoking water, hash using, heroin mainlining, cheese whiz snorting, orange glue on the nostrils grandmother wouldn't do. And she's just really drunk.
By the way, she took a big position in Shiba coin.
She took a huge Shiba Inu position. She's like, down with the Doge. In with the Shiba Inu.
Thanks, bro.
Bam.
Can you hear me?
Oh, everyone can hear you.
All right, cool. Oh, we're live still.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this is the Prophet with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet. Hey, hey, we talking condos and nice clothes and driving Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. We tried to drive on them high roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to Profit to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need a cop it, I wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option, let's get it popping, we chilling in the drop. I need some crypto, put it in my pocket, by any means I rock. This is the Profit with Nick Black, it's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain, we here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks, this where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Prophet. Hey, you talking to the Prophet. Hey, you talking to the Prophet.
All right, hey, I'm out, dude. I got a client call in 20 minutes.
This is.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.